Welcome to Byte Hive Updates. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The world awoke to a nightmare, an event that would send shockwaves through every capital and command center on the planet. A U.S. B-2 bomber, the legendary Spirit of America, had vanished without a trace over the volatile South China Sea, leaving only questions and fear in its wake. Headlines screamed, "B-2 down," Chinese military activity reported, Pentagon silent. The world's media scrambled for answers as rumors swirled. In the darkness of September 13, 2025, America's most advanced stealth bomber disappeared from radar, vanishing into uncertainty. The B-2, a $2 billion symbol of U.S. power and technological supremacy, was on a routine freedom of navigation patrol until it was obliterated in a blinding flash, its fate sealed in seconds. Losing a B-2 wasn't just a financial blow, it was a strategic shock, a crack in America's technological armor, and a blow to national pride. The fate of its two elite pilots was unknown, lost somewhere in the vast contested waters, families and comrades left in agonizing suspense. The B-2's stealth was legendary, designed to be a ghost, unseen, untouchable. Yet on this morning, it was seen, and it was hunted. A sudden missile lock warning shattered the calm. The pilots had only seconds to react, but it wasn't enough. The threat was real, and it was lethal. The attack was a message, a line drawn in the sky, a warning to all who would challenge the new order. For years, China's claims over the South China Sea had clashed with U.S. patrols, each side testing the other's resolve. The region simmered with tension, but the downing of a B-2 was a radical escalation, an act that changed the rules overnight. This was no longer a chess match. It was a violent, unpredictable brawl, with the world's superpowers now on a collision course. The world held its breath, waiting for America's response, as uncertainty and fear rippled across continents. The U.S. and its allies had challenged China's claims for years, but this was a new level, a direct confrontation that could not be ignored. The loss of the B-2 was a direct challenge to U.S. dominance, a test of resolve and unity. The stakes had never been higher. Every decision now carried the weight of history. The South China Sea was now the world's most dangerous flashpoint, a powder keg waiting for a spark. The countdown to crisis had begun, and the world could only watch as events spiraled toward the unknown. The attack on the B-2 was no accident. It was a calculated ambush by China's PLA. Years of investment in quantum radar and sensor networks paid off. The invisible bomber was finally seen. A new HQ-9 missile, guided by fused data from satellites and disguised trawlers, struck with lethal precision. The B-2's defenses were overwhelmed. The pilots had no chance. For China, this was a message. The South China Sea was theirs, and U.S. superiority was no longer assured. The wreckage and its secrets fell into the sea, a dual victory for the PLA. The Dragon's Claw had snatched its prize from the sky. In Washington, the president was jolted awake in the dead of night. "Mr. President, we lost one." The words echoed in the darkness, heavy with shock and disbelief. The Situation Room buzzed with tension as satellite data confirmed the loss and the Chinese missile launch. Every screen flickered with urgent updates, the air thick with anxiety. Beijing was silent. No denials, no answers, just chilling quiet. The world's second superpower offered only a void, deepening the sense of crisis. This was no accident. It was a direct attack. The evidence was undeniable, and the implications were grave. The president faced stark choices: retaliate massively or respond with restraint. Each path carried enormous consequences for the nation and the world. Advisors warned of escalation, economic collapse, and global chaos. The risks of miscalculation loomed large, threatening to spiral out of control. But doing nothing would signal weakness, embolden China, and undermine U.S. alliances. The credibility of American power was on the line. The president demanded options. What's our fastest, most decisive response? Time was running out, and every second mattered. The answer: an immediate, overwhelming strike to send a message China would never forget. The machinery of war roared to life. The decision was made. America would answer with force. The world braced for what would come next. The world watched as the U.S. prepared to act. Tension rippled across continents as allies and rivals alike held their breath. The president's resolve was clear. Deterrence required action, not words. The nation looked to its leader for strength. The stakes were global, the risks immense. Every decision now would shape the future of international order. The U.S. would not back down. American forces stood ready, united in purpose. The countdown to retaliation began. The world teetered on the edge of a new era. History was about to turn. The dawn would bring consequences no one could predict. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs presented Operation Iron Dagger, an audacious plan forged in secrecy and urgency, now revealed at the highest level. The mission: a rapid, precision strike on the missile battery that had downed the B-2, a direct response to a brazen act of aggression. The plan was simple but daring. Destroy the target in exactly 88 seconds, leaving no time for the enemy to react or regroup. The number 88 wasn't random. It was a calculated psychological blow, using China's own lucky number as a symbol of dominance and resolve. The president gave the order: execute Iron Dagger, now. Instantly, encrypted commands flashed across the globe, activating a vast network of military assets. At Guam, B-1B Lancer bombers scrambled into action, loaded with long-range missiles, their engines roaring as they prepared for a mission that could alter history. The USS Ronald Reagan Carrier Group pivoted toward the South China Sea, a formidable force moving with purpose and precision. FA-18s launched from the carrier's deck, providing air cover and electronic warfare support, ready to counter any threat in the skies. Beneath the waves, the USS Montana submarine glided silently into position, undetected and lethal, a hidden spearhead in the operation. Its crew stood ready at targeting consoles, prepared to provide critical targeting data and unleash Tomahawk missiles if the situation demanded. Years of meticulous planning for this very scenario were about to pay off. Every contingency considered, every detail rehearsed. Every sensor, every shooter, every asset was linked in a seamless, real-time network, creating a unified force. The JADC-2 system roared to life, integrating data and command across all domains: land, sea, air, space, and cyber. Data from satellites, drones, and submarines fused into a single, real-time picture of Woody Island, revealing every movement, every threat. The strike would be swift, precise, and overwhelming, designed to leave no doubt about American capability. The world's most advanced war machine was now in motion, synchronized and unstoppable. The message was unmistakable: America could strike anywhere, anytime, with overwhelming force. The clock was set, 88 seconds to change the course of history, to send a message the world would not forget. The operation was a calculated gamble, a test of nerve and strategy at the highest level. But hesitation was not an option. Every second counted, every decision irreversible. The U.S. would demonstrate not just resolve, but unmatched capability and unity of purpose. The countdown to impact began, each tick echoing across command centers and battlefields alike. The world braced for the next move, eyes fixed on screens, hearts pounding in anticipation. The balance of power was about to shift, the outcome uncertain, the stakes higher than ever. The 88-second clock was ticking, and history was about to be rewritten. Operation Iron Dagger was a masterclass in networked warfare. B-1B bombers, guided by a web of satellites and drones, closed in on the target. The first strike was digital. U.S. Cyber Command blinded Chinese defenses with a targeted cyber attack, flooding their screens with ghosts. EA-18G Growlers launched, jamming enemy radar and creating a corridor of silence for the incoming missiles. Space, cyber, and electronic warfare worked in concert, overwhelming the PLA's defenses. The goal: destroy the target before China could react. The B-1Bs prepared to unleash their payload, confident the path was clear. Hundreds of miles out, the B-1Bs reached their launch point. Weapons officers locked in the target, refined by real-time data. AGM-158C LRASM missiles dropped away, flying low and smart, weaving through the electronic corridor. The missiles swarmed, communicating, adjusting, and then popped up for the final attack. On Woody Island, chaos reigned. Chinese operators were blind, their screens useless. The first missile struck the radar vehicle, Others hit the missile launchers, triggering massive secondary explosions. In 88 seconds, the site was obliterated. A Global Hawk drone relayed the aftermath: a crater, black smoke, and silence. The message was unmistakable. America had answered. Woody Island was devastated. China's pride reduced to rubble. The PLA garrison was in chaos, cut off and reeling from the speed of the strike. In Washington, there was no celebration, only grim anticipation. The U.S. military went to DEFCON 3. Forces worldwide were on high alert. Markets crashed, oil prices soared, and allies voiced support but feared escalation. The UN called an emergency session. The world teetered on the edge. The fate of the B-2's pilots remained a tragic mystery. Their loss was the spark, the crater, a monument to the cost. The wound between the U.S. and China was now open and bleeding. Beijing's response was silence. No statements, no answers, just a chilling void. The leadership was stunned. Their gamble had backfired. Analysts feared escalation, but China hesitated, trapped between pride and disaster. Behind closed doors, hardliners were on the defensive. The U.S. had demonstrated overwhelming technological dominance. Operation Iron Dagger exposed the gap between having advanced weapons and using them in perfect coordination. After a day of silence, China issued a weak, face-saving statement, demanding an explanation but not admitting fault. The immediate crisis receded, but the damage was done. The world exhaled, but the rules had changed. The Pacific balance of power was forever altered. The 88-second strike didn't start World War III, but it launched a new Cold War. Economic ties no longer guaranteed peace. Military risk was real. Operation Iron Dagger validated U.S. investments in next-gen warfare, but the loss of the B-2 proved superiority is fleeting. China learned the hard way. True power is in the network, not just the hardware. Both sides accelerated their arms race. Alliances hardened, and decoupling began. The South China Sea became the world's most dangerous flashpoint. The era of ambiguity was over. Confrontation was the new normal. The world had witnessed the future of war in just 88 seconds.